This is Mr. Z, and this week we're going to be starting our study of two great periods in our history, the Roaring Twenties and the Great Depression. And we're going to try to focus on these mainly by using pictures and songs to try to understand a little bit about these two great periods. Here you see a picture of a representation from the 1920s. So I want you to look at this picture as you're listening to the song, and you'll see the little icon. It almost looks like a speaker. You're going to click on that so you can hear the song, and then while you're listening to the song, look at the picture. Think about the emotions that you feel, and then when you go to click here, it'll take you to a Google form, and you're going to record your thoughts. Tell me what feelings you had when you listened to the song and you viewed the picture. Right here you have another image. This one is from the Great Depression. So we're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at the image of the man, and then you're going to click on the little speaker symbol and listen to the song. And then as you're listening to the song and looking at the picture, think about what emotions that you feel. And then again, click here and go to the Google form and record your thoughts. Dr. King once talked about how important it was to learn lessons from the past and how those lessons could help shape your future. So I want you to think about, have you ever experienced a great change in your life? Or have you heard or read about something that dramatically changed our country? People like myself might think of the civil rights movement. For a lot of people it might have been the events of 9/11. So think about that, and as you saw and as you heard, the mood of the 1920s and the 1930s were dramatically different. During the Roaring Twenties was a time right after the end of the First World War, and the United States began a time of great prosperity. There was a huge rise in manufacturing, especially due to things like the automobile industry. Radios became popular. Movies became popular. For example, in 1922 there were 40 million people who went to the movies. And by 1930 there was over 100 million. And one of their biggest impact in the Roaring Twenties was on the lives of women. Many young women during that time of the 1920s began to enjoy new freedoms. They would wear their hair differently. They usually cut it short. They'd often have a cap pulled down over their head. They started wearing more fashionable clothing. They went out dancing and often drinking as well. And the term that we use to refer to these women is called flappers. The Roaring Twenties basically came to an end in October 29th of 1929 on a day which was called Black Tuesday. In the fall of 1929, the stock market began to become very unstable, and on that date, October 29th, millions of shares of stocks were traded. And as a result, many of the stocks became very worthless, and many people lost all that they had. And to this day, we refer to that day as Black Tuesday. Not long after Black Tuesday, we went into a period of time called the Great Depression. After the stock market had crashed, many people lost their jobs. Many people had to go to places called soup kitchens to eat. Many people lived in makeshift homes called Hoovervilles, which were made out of basically anything they could find. They were called that after President Hoover. And if you look at the picture, you can see an example of what a Hooverville home looked like. There were many new programs that started, some of which still exist today during that time period. So I've just touched on a few things in this presentation, but it's important to know many things contributed to the prosperity that our country enjoyed during the Roaring Twenties. And there were many things that contributed to the Great Depression. And in the Roaring Twenties, as good as it was, there were some bad things that happened, such as the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And just as the Great Depression was very bad, some good things came out of that as well. Many people gave a helping hand to their neighbors. So over the next few days, we're going to look at all of these things and more in more detail.